Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Crush the Quo webinar series. At the Crush the Quo, we are on a mission to fuel the change needed to create growth and elevate performance through transformed mindsets, habits, and actions. And that's change within our working worlds and even in our personal lives. In today's webinar, we are going to be talking about leveraging the color of psychology. And leveraging it to enhance your sales conversations and for that matter, any business conversation. In our session today, Tracy, who I'll introduce you to in a moment, she will take you through the fascinating world of color psychology and how we can use the color in our wardrobes to amplify the effectiveness of communication strategies, influence perceptions, and create those outcomes that we're hoping to achieve when we're in those meetings, whether it's with customers, prospects, colleagues, and Tracy, right, even family, even personal dialogues, yes. Right? We can do this. Yes, every bit counts. So allow me now to introduce Tracy. Tracy is a professional stylist. She helps women feel more confident in the way they look so that they can stand out in their business. She's also a course writer and a guest lecturer and tutor at the London College of Style, and working closely with students both on campus and online, teaching and mentoring them through their courses and helping them also get their businesses started. And I know, Tracy, you've got quite a few different services that you bring, from color consulting, wardrobe consulting, etc., etc. So feel free to expand on what it is you do. But with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you can share yours, and I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the lovely intro. And yes, you're absolutely right. It's not just business that this applies to, although obviously that's what the context of what we're going to talk about today. But color psychology applies to our whole lives. Whether we're aware of it or not, it is in operation. So it's really good to know about it and to therefore be able to use it to enhance our business conversations or indeed our personal conversations. So I am a personal stylist, which means, as Catherine put very well, that I work with women, mainly business women, to help them get a style and a look that makes them feel confident and helps them to stand out in their business or their brand. I've done this for about 15 years now. I've worked with some high-profile companies and done some speaking at conferences. As Catherine quite rightly said, I am a senior tutor at the London College of Style, and I help new stylists learn all about colour analysis and then about business and helping them set up their businesses. And I've obviously worked with numerous clients over the last 15 years to help them achieve their goals, whatever their goals may be. You know, we don't like to sort of assume what their goals may be. It could be anything, but helping you with your style and to feel more confident in your visibility will help anything business-wise, because obviously it's all about being visible and being known, and people like to buy from people, so they like to see the person behind the brand or the business. So any kind of visibility is good to help us grow our businesses. So what I'm going to cover today in this session is a few things. Why colour is so powerful. We're going to go into a little bit of the science of that, why first impressions are so important, how we can use that information to then impact our meetings and influence the people that we're meeting with. I'm going to cover some specific scenarios, but do feel free to ask if you have anything different that you'd like me to cover, and then how you can elevate your profile using this information that we've talked about today. So first of all, why is colour so powerful? Well, colour is basically, I don't know if you know anything about the science of colour. This is a very quick whistle-stop tour through the science. It's basically wavelengths of light, and when they hit our eyes, and specifically the back of our eyes, they can have an effect on our emotions and our behaviour. So red is the longest wavelength, and it requires the most work by our eyes. and therefore it appears the closest. So we have to work harder to see red than, for instance, green, which is the shortest wavelength and requires no adjustment at all. So therefore it's restful on our eyes. So as you can probably make sense, the more you have to work, the more it's going to feel difficult. So actually that red is the hardest color to see and green is the easiest. So on our retina, these vibrations of light are converted into electrical impulses which pass through the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus is the organ that it controls the output, I can't think of a better word, output of hormones around our system. And so those hormones help us to feel good or bad, depending on what hormones are released. So this is all to do with our endocrine system. So for instance, when you look at blue, which of course the sea and the sky are both blue, they make you feel relaxed. And there's a very good reason for this. It's because the color blue helps our hypothalamus to release oxytocin. And oxytocin is a hormone that helps us to feel less stressed and to bring about a feeling of calm. So this is all, you know, the science of it's quite complicated, but actually what we really need to know is that color really does have an effect on our systems, on our behavior, on our emotions, and can make a difference to us as the wearer of any color and also to the people that we are speaking to. So each color, each wavelength of light evokes a specific neurological response and turns it into a reaction in our body. And what I am particularly fascinated about is that it's not just seeing color that has this effect, it's also color on our skin, because they've done some tests, and even people who are blind, who obviously can't see any color, are still subject to the psychology of color, and it still has the same effect on them, on their emotions and their behaviors. So it's something we take into our systems, and then it goes to the brain via the eye and also via the skin.
Gosh, that's interesting, Tracy. I had no idea that, you know, even when you put a color on, like a green shirt on,
yeah,
just the fact that it's on your skin is having an impact.
It is, yes, and actually it's very useful because if you want to wear a colour that for your benefit, and I'll go into detail a bit later on what colours you might want to do that, but you might want to wear a colour for your benefit to motivate you or to make you feel a bit more excited about something, but you don't want your audience to be more excited, you can wear that colour as underwear and it will still have an effect on you, but it won't have an effect on them because they won't see it. So it's very clever, and I just love the whole science of it and how it's very clever. So we all probably know that first impressions count. I'm sure we all know that, but just a quick little quiz for you. How long do you think it takes to make your first impression? Anybody got a guess?
About 30 seconds.
30 seconds? Yeah. Anybody else?
In the chat, we've got 3 seconds.
3 seconds, okay. The normal sort of thoughts are that it's sort of 3 to 7 seconds. I've actually read one study in particular that says it could be as little as 1/10 of a second. Now that is before you've had any chance to speak or give anybody an impression of any sort other than what you look like. So that first impression is very much based on your physical appearance, the way you're dressed, that sort of thing. Because that's all people have got time to take in. And in those first few seconds, or even fractions of a second, we make thousands of judgments about a person, including their age, income bracket, marital family situation, whether we want to work with them or not. There's actually been a quote by an American author, Alison Laurie, who talks in her book, The Language of Clothes, that it has an effect on, we make judgments about sex, age, class, important information about your occupation, your origin, your personality, your opinions, tastes, and current mood. So we make an awful lot of instant judgments about a person, mostly based on just the way they look. So appearance really does matter, and really can have an effect on all of your meetings, personal or business. So how can you use colour to influence people? Well, it's mainly really just knowing this information and knowing what colours have what effect on us, that you can then use that information in your wardrobe, in the things that you wear, in anything that you take with you about your person to have the effect you want it to have on the people you're meeting. So it's a really quite useful thing to know and can have a powerful effect. And the people that you're talking to won't have any idea that you're doing it deliberately, that you've worn these colours deliberately for that purpose. So it's really quite useful to wear the appropriate colours for your particular meeting or situation, and specifically the outcome that you want out of that meeting. So if you have something in particular that you want to achieve through any given meeting, and most of us do in most of our meetings, other than just meeting with friends, we generally have an outcome that we want to achieve. So you can use this information about colour to help you achieve your goals. So how can you use colour to accelerate your success in any meetings? Well, I've got 4 scenarios I've put together. And as I said, if there's anything else in particular you'd like me to cover, I am more than happy to do that. So scenario number 1, first time meetings. So meeting, it could be anybody for the first time, could be a bank manager, could be a client, could be a potential client, could be a daughter's or a son's spouse, intended spouse.
What about a first date?
First date, yeah, anything. It can be used in anything. So, but the colours I've chosen here are specifically business related. So first date would be slightly different, but these are business related. So the first meeting is all about creating the right impression, building trust, building credibility, helping that other person to see that you know what you're talking about in whatever the scenario is, that they can trust you, that they know that you're not going to be, you know, trying to fiddle them in any way. They want to build trust and credibility with you. And I'm sure, again, most of you know that people need to get to a place of trust before they decide whether they're happy to work with us or buy from us in whatever way that may be. So trust is really important, and building that trust. And we need to do it quickly with a first time meeting. You don't have long. It's not like you're going to be able to get to know this person for 5 years like you would a friend before you truly trust them. It's got to be instant. So you can use colour to help you do that. So the colours that would be the best for this are blue. Now, blue is a great colour to wear in business in a lot of settings. It inspires confidence. It makes the other person feel safe with you, and it inspires trustworthiness. So and it's also a great colour for communication. If you want to communicate clearly, blue is a great colour to help you to do that. So that's both you personally with your behaviour, and also the other person as well, to be able to trust you and to be able to know that you're communicating clearly and well, and that they're understanding well. So blue is a great colour to use for that. Politicians wear blue because that's basically what they need to do all the time. They need to be able to communicate well. They want to be able to inspire confidence and trust in them. Whether they do that or not is a conversation for another day, but that's the aim. It's to inspire confidence in us, to help us to trust them, to help us to trust that they're going to look after us and that they're doing what they say they're doing. So blue is a great colour, and when I'm talking about these colours, we could be talking about any shade of the colour, so any shade of blue, but I'm going to talk more about shades a little bit later on in this webinar. Aquamarine obviously is a shade of blue, but it's slightly different in that it is considered the most trustworthy of all colours. I've deliberately worn aquamarine today because I want you to be able to trust me very, very quickly. You've never met me before, but I want you to be able to take on the information I'm giving you and be able to trust that I know what I'm talking about, and it really does help. So wearing aquamarine can really help with that. It also helps promote decision making. So if you're, for instance, going into a meeting with a group of colleagues and you've got to decide how a project's going to go, or how an event's going to go, or anything with decisions, aquamarine is a great colour to wear, especially if you're leading that meeting. Obviously, we know trustworthiness and credibility are 2 of the most important attributes when you're talking to potential customers, clients, people that you're going to work with, anything anything like that, where you're wanting to inspire trustworthiness in yourself. Green is another great color to wear. It's slightly different, so it kind of gives a sense of harmony and balance and calms everything down. As I said at the beginning of the talk, green is the color with the shortest wavelength, and so it's the easiest on our eyes, and so it's calming. So green really helps you to feel calm, and for the people you're talking to feel calm as well, and that helps inspire a feeling of trust in you as a person or whoever is talking. So that's the first one, first time meetings. So very much the blues and greens are great colors, and as I said before, that can be any shade of those colors. Scenario number 2, meeting any kind of executives. Now, I'm sure anybody in business knows that this is difficult and often a nerve-wracking experience. So again, you can help that situation for yourself and for them by wearing colors that are going to enhance that experience for both sides. So again, you want to feel that you want them to feel that they can trust you. You also want them to feel, depending on what the scenario is, you might be trying to convince an executive that you are more than capable of taking on a particular job or a particular project or team. So again, you want to inspire that confidence and that sense of capability and efficiency in all that you do. So blue is going to help again. Blue's a great color for business because it's such a trustworthy color. It really inspires trust and confidence in you. So it's a great color for that, and it helps with the communication if you need to contribute to that conversation, which probably you would do in any of these scenarios. Orange is another great color, which you might not necessarily be your go-to color for business, but it's a great color to use for giving vitality, warmth and energy. So it's quite a stimulating color. So if you're wanting to inspire people and get people excited and energized about the project that you're talking about, then orange is a great color to wear. However, I would suggest using it sparingly because it's a very sociable, fun-loving color, and obviously you still want to be taken seriously in business. So it's probably best to do it in something small, like a scarf, a tie, something like that, just to give that little bit of orange, to give that energy and that stimulating feeling that you want. It also is a good color to give you confidence. So it'll be good confidence booster for you if you're in any sort of situation that you're a little bit nervous of. Red is another great color. Red actually increases our respirations and our blood pressure. So it physiologically changes our bodies. So it gives us energy, motivation. It can give you extra drive, and it can show that you will get the job done, that you've got the energy and the motivation to do the job that you're suggesting. It's also a good color for if you're speaking on the stage, for instance, because it can energize and motivate your audience. So it's quite a good color for speakers on stage. It's also very eye-catching. So obviously, if you're in a big room and you're speaking on the stage, you want to be noticed as you're the one at the front. So red is a very eye-catching color as well. Again, it's quite a strong color and it can have other meanings. So you do have to be careful with it in business. Actually, Catherine was talking about a first date. A lot of people will wear red on a first date because of its association with love and all that sort of thing. So you don't want to give the wrong impression in business. So a small amount of red is good within your outfit with some other neutrals. So like I said before, maybe a tie for men or a scarf for women, or even a bag, something like that. It doesn't have to be very much, just anything with some red on it. And then grey is a great colour to show dependability and practicality. So again, if you're trying to show that you're capable of leading a project or a team or something like that, grey's great to wear, but not all grey, because grey as an all-over outfit is a bit too what should we say, a bit too dependable and practical and not showing much personality and much charisma and drive. So you need something to go with the grey to show other sides of yourself. Scenario 3, slightly different. If you have to resolve a situation of any description, this could be all sorts of things. It could be people within your team who are not getting on together. It could be somebody who's not behaved or worked appropriately. It could be all sorts of things. It could be perhaps working with a client and the client is being difficult and you need to resolve the situation. So there's lots of scenarios where you may be needing to resolve a situation. So wearing colours that will help that can be a really good starting point and give you a bit of a sort of an upper hand going into the meeting instantly, because you're already wearing that colour that will help. So red is a colour that will give energy and confidence, which might be needed for you. So you might need energy and confidence in order to go into that meeting, because those sorts of meetings aren't easy for most of us. But it also has some negative associations with aggression and danger, and also too much hype. So this is one of the situations where you may want to wear red yourself. So you could wear red underwear, but you may not want red for the person you're meeting, because you won't want to sort of encourage that negative sort of aggression or confrontation. So you may not want to wear it where it will be shown. Another message that you might want to give in any sort of resolution meeting is that you care and you have compassion for the other person's situation. So there can be all sorts of reasons why you might want to show that. I mean, if it is two members of your team who are not getting on together, you want to be able to show that you really do care about the situation that they're in. Or it could even be a member of your team who's going through some difficulties, but their work is being affected as a result of that. So you want to show that you do have compassion for what they're going through, you do really care about what they're going through, but you also have another side of things that you need to deal with. So pink is a great colour for that. It promotes feelings of caring for others. It promotes compassion. It's a great colour for any caring profession. So if you were in sort of private healthcare, for instance, it would be a great colour to wear. It shows compassion and empathy. If you think about branding, and all of these scenarios apply to brands as well as to individuals, and if you start looking around at brands, you can often see the color that they've chosen and the reason they may have chosen it for their particular business. So for instance, wellness brands often use green because it's harmony, balance, nature, calming, all of those sorts of things, which is obviously the message they want to portray. A lot of breast cancer charities or cancer charities in general use pink in their branding because, again, they want to give that feeling of caring and compassion for the people who are going to come to them and want to work with them. So pink is a great colour, but again, in small measure. Don't wear too much of it. But actually, I once met a chap at a networking meeting who did wills and sort of organised things for people for when they die. It wasn't just wills, it was a lot more than that. And he was a very funny man, actually. I heard him speak a couple of times and he was very funny, but he would always wear a very dark navy suit with a very dark navy shirt. Didn't wear a tie, which I thought was appropriate for that sort of setting. He didn't want to be too much of a sort of barrier between him and the people he was talking to. But that is a very stark look. Dark navy suit, dark navy tie. And he asked me about what colour I thought would be good for him. And I said a pink shirt would be really good, because although the navy suit was appropriate because it's a professional thing he was doing, and he wanted to have those feelings of trust in him, but also the pink would enable him to really show that he really cares about people and he knows that this is a difficult thing to do, something that not many people like to face and talk about. So the pink shirt would really help with that. And he came back to me a while later and said it had changed the way both he felt, but also he felt it was changing the way the people were reacting to him. So I was really pleased about that he actually, could measure the difference, if you like, just from wearing a different coloured shirt. Closing a deal or a negotiation. Obviously, there's lots of things involved in this. When you're negotiating, you're going to want to, first of all, inspire trust. Again, make a good first impression. You need people to get to know you, like you, and trust you as quickly as possible, because you want to, it could be just one meeting that you're trying to do the whole thing. You're presenting your offer, you're showing the person how it will benefit them, and you want to close the sale all in one meeting. So there's a lot you've got to do in that one meeting in order to get people to that place where they feel safe enough to buy from you. So again, we're going to go back to blue. Blue in business is always useful color. We want that trustworthiness because we want people to feel that they're going, if they part with their money or sign on the dotted line or whatever it is, that they're going to be safe to do that. One thing that is worth bearing in mind, though, when I talk about blue, it can be any shade of blue. Going too severe with the very dark navy blue will have the effect, it will promote trustworthiness, but it also, I'm going to talk about black in a moment, it can be a bit of a barrier. It can be too severe or too corporate that people feel you're a bit distant and a bit difficult to relate to. So don't go too dark with your navy suits or dresses or whatever it is you're going to wear. There's lots of colours around, from bright blue right through to navy. So choose a colour that's just got a little bit more colour in it rather than just too severe. Pink, again, a great colour to show your caring and compassionate side for the people that you are with. Again, you want them to feel safe, and that you not only want the sale, but that you actually care about their situation and want to help them, and genuinely want to help them provide a solution to their problem. And most people are buying because they have a problem and they want it resolved. Orange, again, inspires action. So if you want people to be decisive and take some action in that meeting, then orange is a great colour to wear. For men, I would suggest an orange tie, or a tie with orange in it would be all that's needed, just to give that little bit of motivation and action taking to the people that he's meeting. Women, we can have a scarf again, or a handbag, shoes even. I love a statement pair of shoes in a different colour.
Jewelry, like a bangle,
yes,
or a necklace or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it can be anything as small as that, and it will have an effect. Obviously, the proportion of what colours you're wearing will have an effect. So if you've got black all over and just a little bit of orange jewelry, it's going to have less, the orange is going to have less effect than the black, but it will still have the effect, because the colour, the wavelengths of light still hit the eye and have the same effect. Green is a good colour for this because it's the colour of newness, optimism and freshness, and the reason for that is because in spring the bright greens come out, and we have that, you'll all be able to relate to that sense of optimism that we're coming out of winter, things are going to get better, life's going to get better because we're going to be in warmer, sunnier days. That's the hope anyway. We're always optimistic in the UK that that's what's going to happen. Sometimes we're lucky, sometimes we're not so, but that's where the green newness and optimism comes from. It's from the colours of green that come out in spring. So green is a good colour to help the person you're talking to believe that your solution is going to make their life or their situation better in whatever way that is. And of course it can apply to a whole load of different situations, but it will have the same message. It will encourage people to believe that what you're telling them is a solution to their problem is actually going to work and is going to make things better. So
and
there's
Tracy, sorry to interrupt you there.
No.
What if I want to wear, if I decide to wear all 4 of these at once?
I wouldn't do that, because too much colour can drop the level of professionalism. So it's a question of picking out 1, possibly 2 at the most, I would say, and just giving that pop of colour if you need it. You still need to have the professional look if you're going into a properly professional situation, meeting, whatever that may be. So you've still got to wear the professional or corporate look, but then you can add a pop of colour to give whatever message you want to give. But too many colours would just be confusing, and probably none of them would really, stand out, if you like.
So if somebody wore blue, so that's another question, and maybe you'll cover this. If you will cover it, please stop me. Does the colour that you pick for the purpose that we are, the context, does it need to be against your face, like upper body, or can it be, as you said, even shoes down below?
Can be anything, as long as the person that you want to see it is going to see it. So if you're behind a desk and it's completely closed in at the front, shoes aren't going to have any effect because they're not going to see it. It will have an effect on you as the wearer, but it won't have any effect on the person that you're going to see. However, if you're going to sit sort of side by side in sofas or whatever, then yes, your shoes are going to have that effect. So just make sure that whatever you've put the colour in is going to be shown. So for instance, again, if you chose to have an orange bag with your navy or black suit or whatever, and you leave your bag outside the room, then it's not going to have any effect. So just sort of think through the scenario and make sure that the color that you've got, you want the message to be portrayed is actually going to be seen, because it does have to hit their skin or their eyes somehow in order to have an effect.
Okay.
What about wearing a floral shirt with your suit?
Well, that would depend on other things as well. So is that professional enough for the environment you're in? And you will know the answer to that better than I will. Again, the colours will have an effect, but if there's lots of colour, it's going to be more confusing and probably not, so like if you've got a floral shirt, but you just want the orange to have an effect, you can't, that's not going to work. It will be all of the colours in there that have an effect. And the human brain, as we all know, can only take on so much information at one time. So if there's too much going in one time, it will probably be, well, in my case, it would be too much information, can't cope, I won't take any of it on board. So I would be a little bit more intentional about the colours if you want to use this in that situation. In another situation, it might not matter. If you're just going into work and it's a normal day, then wear a floral shirt by all means, or a floral dress, depending on your situation. Different industries have different levels of acceptability of, all sorts of things, workwear. So,
and I suppose sorry, Tracy, to interrupt you again. I suppose if you're going to wear a floral dress or top or skirt or jacket, obviously it must suit the environment, as you're saying, but if it's all like a general shade of blues, that's probably less of an issue than if you've got a floral top with 8 different colors in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think all of this is just about being intentional, really. All of this is going on, and until today you may not have known about it. So now that you can be a bit more intentional about specific meetings. I mean, I'm not suggesting that you have to think this through for every day, but if you're going into a meeting or any kind of work situation where it really does matter, then this is a good thing to take on board and to be intentional about the one color and the one message that you want to give, or possibly two, but not too many, because I think most of us would be like, too much information, can't cope, don't take any of it on board.
Yeah, it's quite interesting what you're saying. I used to work for a French airline, and our clothes were designed by Courrèges of Paris. And I could never understand why they chose the colors they chose, because for the air crew, the air hostesses, they wore a pale blue, and the jacket was wet look, but then with the inscription of UTA written on the jacket. And then the ground crew, which in this case was myself, ours was bright orange. And we wore also wet look jackets, but with the white inscription of the airline's name on it. And it's quite interesting what you're saying, where it's so relevant that the pale colors, especially for passengers flying, calm, etc. And people wearing orange are sort of action and communicating and directing passengers and so on. So funny you should say that, because now I can match the two as to why they actually chose those colors. So they obviously went into it very carefully.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's brilliant. The orange for the ground staff, because you do actually want people to get moving and to get on with what they're doing, get to the gates in time and all of that sort of stuff. Once they're on the flight, you definitely don't want them excited. You want to calm them down.
Exactly. You want that sense of calm, of relax, enjoy yourself.
Yeah. And trustworthiness as well.
Makes sense. No, it definitely makes sense.
Yeah. The other thing to bear in mind with all of that sort of thing is that not everybody's aware of it. So sometimes you'll see colours and they don't make sense. And
I think it's the first time I'm aware of it, and I'm already a lot older, since then.
Yeah. So it's not, I mean, I think brands generally are aware, and as, if you look around at brands, you can see that the colour they've chosen for their brand colour does make sense. I mean, I don't know if you're aware of it in South Africa, but we have a delivery brand called UPS, and their colour is brown. Well, brown is dependability, reliability, you know, no fuss, no drama, just get on with the job. No character either, but that doesn't matter because it's a delivery company. So, you know, if you start looking around at this, you will see that a lot of brands have chosen their colours quite carefully. The bigger brands, I would say, do that. Smaller brands, not necessarily, and certainly one-man bands, not necessarily. They've probably just chosen a colour they like, unless they're aware of this. But certainly the big brands will be well aware of this and will be choosing their brand colours very carefully.
Yeah.
Very interesting, isn't it?
But it's interesting also that you haven't mentioned sort of neutral colours, light beige, and those sort of colours.
I'll talk about those in a minute. I'm going to summarise the main colours that we go through, that we use, and there's some neutrals on there. So I'll talk about those then. But what I wanted to, they're less action or caring or, you know, specific. They're more just general dependability, reliability, that sort of thing. So I'll go through those in a moment for you, but that's why I've chosen specific colour here rather than neutral colour, if that makes sense.
Okay,
makes sense.
So black obviously is a big deal in business. Lots of people wear black and think it is the best colour for a whole load of reasons. You know, it's easy to put together, it looks classic, it looks elegant, it's professional, it can make you look slimmer if that's what you want. All of those sort of thoughts about black, I'm not saying those are all the right thoughts, but those are the thoughts that people have in order to justify wearing black so much. But the message that black gives is very authoritative, very I'm in charge, you're not, you know, very managerial. So it kind of can create a bit of a barrier between you and the people you're talking to, and that may or may not be the message you want to give, but it's good to be aware of it so you can use it when you want to, but you don't use it when you know, unintentionally. Because so black, in going back to one of our scenarios with the conflict resolution, if you've got people in your team who are not performing, or, you know, there's conflict within the team or whatever, you might want to wear black. You might want to go into that meeting stating, I'm the manager here, I'm in charge, and we need to sort this out so that we can have, you know, a good working team. Alternatively, in the sort of sales meeting scenario, you may not want to create a barrier between you and them. You may want them to feel that you're much more approachable than that, in which case black is not the best colour to wear. So that just something to be mindful of is that black can give the wrong impression very easily, because so many people think it's just a great colour to wear in any scenario in business, and that's not quite the case, and less the case as time goes on, because things relax more. I mean, used to be that a lot of businesses, a lot of industries, black suit, white shirt was the uniform and everybody wore it. These days, that's very rarely the case. You know, it can be sort of lawyers, sometimes accountants in the city, but very few other people have that black and white severe look anymore. And one of the main things it does is it takes out all character, takes out all personality, brings everybody to the same level, and they get to show no personality, which is, we want that less and less these days, don't we? We want to see people's personalities, and people buy from people. We like to see people's characters and personalities. So black is worn less, I think, partly for that reason.
I think it's just also so convenient because you can mix it with everything, can't you?
Yeah.
So
yes, but from a stylist's point of view, putting on sort of slightly different hat, if you know your right colours that suit you best, then your wardrobe all works together anyway. So, you know, it's a slightly different way of looking at it. Yes, you could have a whole wardrobe of black and it would all go together, or even just a few things with some colour that go with black. But, you know, looking at the bigger picture, if you want to look your best, which is obviously one of the most important things in business, whatever the scenario, then wearing colours that suit your complexion is a much better way to go. And then your wardrobe is all coordinated anyway. So just a slightly
Makes
different
sense.
take on it. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So what can you do to keep up? If you decide to go down this route and you decide to try and use some of the colours in your wardrobe for the specific meetings that you might have, what can you do to keep it up rather than lose all this information and, you know, 6 months' time, forgotten all about it completely? So I think there's a few things. Planning in advance is a great way to make sure that you keep hold of this and that you do use it. I'll talk about these in more detail. Adding some key pieces into your wardrobe that you can go to when you need them. Remembering that accessories are a great way of using this colour. And then lastly, what I've just been talking about, make sure that the colours you wear look good on you and complement your skin tone, as well as give the message that you want to give. So let's look at those in a bit more detail. So planning in advance, I would suggest having a think about the various scenarios that you might be involved in. And don't just think sort of in business-wise, and what message you want to give in any of those scenarios. And then spend some time planning your wardrobe to support those messages. Because if you leave things to the last minute, you will go to your normal things that you wear every time, probably your black suit or whatever, and you won't use the colour and you won't get the benefit of it. So spend some time in advance planning those scenarios and getting your wardrobe up to scratch so that you can support those messages that you want to give, so that you know if you're going to a meeting with a new client, for instance, and you're wanting to close a deal, you're wanting to help them to see that your solution is the best thing for them to help them solve their problem, then have something green in your wardrobe that you can go to regularly, and you know it's there and you know it's going to work. So planning in advance is the best way to avoid ending up in a hurry at the last minute, because you've just got to get out the door to this meeting and you just put on the easiest outfit rather than the one that intentionally you would like to put on. So planning in advance is a good thing. Also, think about where you want to wear that colour. Do you want it to be a full garment, maybe a dress or a suit, or do you want it in something smaller, a blouse, a top, a scarf, or even in your accessories? So scarves are one thing that we've talked about already. Bags, shoes we've talked about, scarves or ties. Any of those things, even a pen. You could even have a pen. If you're going to be signing something, you can get the pen out on the table in advance, and that colour of that pen will have the effect as well. So anything that you have about your person when you're in any of those scenarios, it will all have an effect. And I always advise people to, if you're going to go shopping for some new pieces, to make sure your wardrobe is there to support you, then go with a list of what you want and shop intentionally. If you just go randomly shopping thinking, oh, I'll just have a look and see if there's anything I can see, then you're not going to have the wardrobe there to support you that you want. And I'm all about having a wardrobe that gives you what you need for every scenario you're likely to come up against, because then that just makes life so much easier. It takes the stress out of getting ready for things, and it just means that you will always be wearing the colours that you want to wear for your given situation. So talked about accessories a lot. Just more specifically, for men, we can look at ties, scarves, even in the winter. Pocket squares are great. So you can put a very bright colour in a pocket square. Pens, as I've mentioned, your briefcase, even your laptop case. If you're going to get your laptop out and have it on a table, then the case that it's in will have a colour and you can use that. For women, same things. Scarves, jewellery, as Catherine quite rightly mentioned. Bags are good, belts are good. Men not so much with the colourful belts, but women can wear colourful belts. I'm sorry, that sounds sexist, but men in a professional corporate environment are not going to get away with a green belt, for instance, but women, we probably could. So think about belts as well, and your laptop case.
And what about glasses frames? I mean, that's also one, right?
Yep. Glasses frames, absolutely. Yeah, should add that to my list actually, because yeah, very good point. Glasses frames have an effect as well. So I've talked a little bit about this, making sure the colours that you wear complement your skin tone. So within any of those colours that I've mentioned, so let's talk about blue, for instance. I said that you can wear any shade of blue and it will have the same effect. Now, everybody can wear blue, everybody can wear every color, but it's the shade of the color that makes the difference to how you look, and that complements your skin tone and makes you look the best you possibly could. And of course, we all want to look the best we can, don't we? We all want to look younger, healthier, more vibrant. All of those things are going to help in a meeting, because if you're looking healthy and vibrant and happy, then that's going to have an effect on the people that you're meeting with. And people love to see somebody who's looking good. It's, you know, we like to see, I use the word very cautiously, but attractive people, as in not beautiful model type attractiveness, but just attractive in the way they're put together and everything's working and they look good, they look healthy, they look, you know, nice and happy and wanting to be there. So making sure that you wear colours that complement your skin tone is really important. So I do suggest that you have a look at some colours and you have a look at some different shades and you put them up against your face underneath your chin and see which colours look good and which colours not so much. And there are, as I say, with blue, there's a shade for every person. There will also be shades that make you look absolutely terrible, make you look really poorly, and you definitely don't want to be wearing them. So to be aware of those shades of colours is really helpful. And the best way to do that is to have your colours analysed, which I'm going to talk about in a moment or two. So I'm going to give you a summary of the main colours. So I'm going to just run through the main colours that we would wear. So red, we've talked about, is an energetic colour. It raises your blood pressure and pulse rate, and so promotes feelings of motivation, energy and excitement. Pink, we've talked about quite a lot. It shows that caring and compassion for others. So it's a great colour to be worn to show that you have concern for others. It's also, and this is increasingly happening recently, is a colour worn by powerful women to show their femininity, but also their strength. So, and especially the brighter pinks are being worn increasingly in serious ways to show femininity, but strength in femininity. So, yeah. Orange suggests vitality, warmth and energy, so it's a very stimulating action colour, so promotes people to action, which is what we've said. Yellow I haven't talked about at all, because yellow is not a great colour to wear in business, because it's too much of a joyful, fun-loving, not professional kind of colour. But it is a great colour if you need a clear mind to make decisions or to start a new project. So if you're working on your own and you need a clear mind to get on with the project, yellow is a great colour to wear for that, but not so much in business type of settings. Green, we've talked about quite a lot. It suggests optimism and freshness and newness, and it suggests that you are calm and trustworthy. Blue, we've talked about an awful lot, so I probably don't need to go over that again. Confidence, trustworthiness, capability, and also aquamarine is the most trustworthy of all the colours, but all of the blues. Helps promote decision making as well. Purple we haven't talked about in this webinar before, because it can be used in business, but in a sort of slightly different business, I would say. So it can be used for meditative, creative, spiritual type of businesses. It's great for those sorts of businesses. It's not so great for sort of more professional type.
It is interesting you say that, because we have quite a lot of clients who are shifting to purple, and they're construction companies and and industrial software companies. It's weird. So
well, it also talks of creativity, so that could fit with the creativity of those sorts of businesses, but it's kind of a bit of a loose connection, but it could it puts us in a warm, receptive mood, and it's great for connecting with yourself and getting a renewed sense of purpose. So if you need to take some time out to reconnect with yourself, to reinvigorate yourself, to move forward to perhaps a new season, it's also a good colour if you've been through a tough time and you're coming out of it in a personal way. So it can really help that healing, connect with yourself, spirituality side of things. So it's a good colour for that. And then the neutrals, so white or cream will give the impression that you're well balanced and optimistic. It's seen as respectful, it's a respectful colour, and will help you to be seen as professional. It's used by doctors and things with coats, isn't it? So that's where that sort of professional scenario comes from. Grey is a good colour to wear for business. It shows somebody who's detached, independent and professional. So it can be a good way to show that you are solid, reliable, self-controlled, but you probably are going to need some colour in there as well to inject a bit of personality, because there's not much personality in that. Brown's similar in that it says you are practical and reliable, somebody who likes stability and structure. But too much brown is seen as conservative, and so it's best worn as just a small part of an outfit if you're going to wear brown. And then black we've talked about a lot. It is very smart, it's chic, it's easy to coordinate, but it gives you the impression of leadership and that you are in control. So it's a very authoritative colour. And best kept for management type situations. So what's next? What can you do with all this information, and how can you make sure that you actually put it, if it's something that's been of interest to you and you've enjoyed it and you'd like to use it, how can you go about starting that process? Because I'm sure we've all been on things that we thought was very interesting, but actually it goes from our mind and we don't actually do anything about it. So in my opinion, the best way to go from here is to have a one-to-one consultation with a professional stylist. I have put together 3 ways that I think are particularly useful in the business world for people in business professions. Colour analysis is the way that we would find out the colours that are going to suit your complexion. And I also bring personality into my colour consultations, because I think it's a more holistic way of looking at the whole person rather than just the skin tone. The skin tone is really important, but also the whole person, how you express yourself through your clothes, and colour is a big part of that. So colour consultation is the first one. We can also do a style consultation. So that looks like all of you and the image you're portraying, and make sure that it's the right image for you, for your body shape and for your personality, that you are giving off the right messages in that few seconds you've got to make a first impression. So style consultation is very good for that. Or you could have a combination of the two. So I have I put together a couple of special offers just for people who come to my webinars. So I will do a colour analysis consultation for you for £250, a style consultation for 150, or the two together for 400, which is the same price as the two added up. So there's my contact information. If you'd like any of those, or even if you just want some more information, or just have some more questions that you'd like me to answer, I am very happy to help in any way I can. And we can talk about how the meetings and scenarios you're involved in, and what colours you might need to wear to help you with your message and to help you give the right impression of your business or brand or whatever situation you're in.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
Well, Tracy, thank you so much. Hugely insightful. I think folks, sounds like people did get a lot out of it and learn some things that they certainly did not know before. Thank you folks for joining, and we'll catch you in the next webinar.